Okay, well, we might just get started, and I'll let anyone else in who shows up in the next few minutes. So first up, I'd like to welcome Jess Covell. Jess Covell from
About, yeah.
Ōtepoti Dunedin. She's the mentor for Boosted and is going to run through a presentation for us of what's involved in running a Boosted campaign and yeah, and we can ask any questions at the end that we have about that. So yeah, Jess, take it away.
All right. So I'm just going to share my screen. So I've got the slideshow up for y'all. Here we go. Okay. So Boosted. So we are a crowdfunding platform for the arts. As Maddie mentioned, I'm Jess Covell and I am the mentor for Dunedin. So what is Boosted? So Boosted is Aotearoa New Zealand's only crowdfunding platform dedicated to the arts. So it's there for artists, art organisations, for people to rally funds to get their creative mahi off the ground. So we're built and operated by the Arts Foundation Te Tīmatoi, which exists to boost opportunities for artists and amplify the impact. Knew this would happen. I thought I'd fix this. Sorry, the slideshow is because it's come from a different program. It's a little bit funny. So hopefully this might be the only one. Usually it's not too many of them. So anyone can use Boosted to raise funds for a project as long as the project benefits Aotearoa or enriches the cultural life of New Zealand in some way. So anyone can invest in it as well, and then that person feels the buzz from donating to the arts, which is a cool and lovely thing because the arts are great. So within Boosted, so to raise funds on the platform, you've got to fit into one of these genres, I guess. So there's quite a few different ones there. Obviously, everybody on this will fit into film. But never fear, if you feel your project doesn't quite align with one of these, you can always reach out to us and we can figure out a way to get you in there or put you in touch with different platforms that you can use. So the numbers, so statistics to date, Boosted launched in 2013. And since then, it's been going strong. We've had over 1,500 creative projects run successful crowdfunding campaigns, which have collectively raised over $11 million through over 100,000 donations, which is something that we are very, very proud of. So, what is crowdfunding? So as the caption says, crowdfunding is the art of rallying your community to get behind you with financial support. So it's about going out to your community, asking to donate and support your work in the process. So sometimes this will be friends and family who believe in your work. Other times it'll be people you haven't met personally, but who will benefit from what you're trying to do. It's just about creating a crowd to cheer on your creative work. So running a Boosted campaign, so it gives you a lot more than just the money. It's a platform to share your story, to promote your work and yourself, and to ask people to help bring your vision to life. And the beauty of crowdfunding is that it just gives you so much more than money. It gives you a hands-on crash course in community building, content creation, event organisation, and marketing. It helps you to build an avid community of invested fans. Once people put their hand in their pocket, they're generally pretty connected to your success. So you end up with a digital community of people that you'll be able to bring with you rather, that will support your art time and time again. And that is a pretty cool thing. So just a little quote. It's empowering. Future is in your hands. Gives you the opportunity to craft your own future. So Boosted. How does it fit in? Oh, here we go. Here's another one. So the funding puzzle. So what we're talking about here is that increasingly now, with applying for funding and things like that, funder bodies like to see that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. They like to see that you're pulling funds from different areas. So showing in a budget when you're presenting something to, say, I guess, Creative New Zealand, it could be local council funding, it could be New Zealand Film Commission, to show that you've either got a successful campaign you've already run where you have the funds from that, or you're planning on doing one, is a really good credibility to have for those things. So it's a really good thing to have if you are looking at doing some funding. Who crowdfunds? So there's a nice wee list there. So anybody that's a creative can fund, host a project, obviously. So it's relevant to a whole lot of people. Students needing to cover a project. Students is a good one because a lot of funding is not accessible for tertiary projects. So having an option like Boosted is great for those people. Could be emerging artists, mid-career established artists looking to fund larger projects. Quite relevant to filmmakers, which is listed. There are quite constantly a hefty amount of film projects on the website, constantly raising funds, and it's not just people who are making short films. It's quite well-known people that are doing it as well, because everybody needs to get funds from somewhere. So, obviously there are a whole stack of different platforms out there that people can crowdfund on. We've got some wee little tips and tricks here. I was talking to Maddie about this earlier. So Boosted does have the highest fee at glance, because we do have a 10% transaction, 10% fee once the campaign is successful. But we still think that it comes out better than a lot of these other options. So there's no transaction fees made for donations. And all the other platforms take what's called a pledge. So it's you're saying that, yes, I'll give money to that particular thing, whereas at the time it doesn't come out of the account straight away. So you may think on these platforms, you've finished your campaign and you're like, yes, I've raised all this money, but because these pledges are taken and it doesn't come out straight away, it just results in quite a high card declination. So you don't always end up with the total that you get, whereas with Boosted, it gets taken out straight away, it's held, and then if you're successful, all the money comes to you. If the campaign doesn't quite make it over the line, then it just goes back to the donors, and it's easy as pies, basically. So it's a good one to have in that regard. So we've got a mentorship as well. So we're creative people as well. We support the arts. We're very passionate about it. We're here to help you through that. And I think Dunedin in particular, we have an extremely high success rate for projects, and we believe that that is due to having a mentor on the ground down here. We are the only city in New Zealand that has a dedicated mentor, because we have such a small team. So we've got one other person that's just moved up to Auckland, and then other team member Ella is in Christchurch. So Flynn and Ella take care of every other place within New Zealand, and everything that is in Dunedin comes to me. So it's great to have a sounding board for staff. I've done campaigns myself, so I know little tips and tricks to help people sort of get through, ways you can get word out, just little bits like that, which is nice to have. So just a nice wee quote there. It does get you out of your comfort zone. It is quite hard work, but it's definitely worth it in the end. So how does it all work? So basically, I mean, it's in your hands. You set your target, you set your time frame, and you make it all happen. So you figure out your amount that you want to raise, you select how long your time frame is going to be, and then once your campaign's all ticked off, it gets going, and you just get out there and you make it happen. So it is an all or nothing platform. So that means you have to hit 100% of your target by the end of your campaign date to be able to withdraw that money. It does make it a little bit harder, I suppose, but it also creates a higher success rate, we think, because there are such high stakes. People sort of tend to push themselves a whole lot more to get that money out there. So as I said before, if you don't reach the 100%, then funds are returned to donors. There's no fees or anything like that. And, you know, it creates a higher success rate with the higher stakes. And we're here all the time. The mentors are here to help you through. So, you know, we send you little emails and updates and can catch up with you for coffees and things like that. So, you know, we're here to help. And so we're donation based. So being big advocates for creatives getting paid fairly. We don't offer rewards or incentives on Boosted. It's a bit of a no-no, I suppose. Like, we believe, as opposed to other platforms, I guess, where you can offer sort of, hey, if you donate $1,000, we'll have this band play in your lounge or something. We think that, you know, your art is enough for people, and that creates enough sort of reward with the donation. So that's the reason that we do that. And because we are run by Te Toi, who is a charity organisation, all donations that go through the platform are a 33% tax credit rebate as well, which is quite good for businesses and things like that who want to donate, or just people in general. So the fee, the 10% fee. So 90% of the money, once you're successful, goes to you. So that's always really important to take into consideration when you're planning out your budget, that, you know, if you're doing a campaign where you need $2,000, you'd want to do it a little bit more so that that 10% doesn't cut into the fact of all the money that you need. So there is this fee because we have it going back into Boosted itself and trickling back down through Te Toi, just to make sure that, you know, the platform gets run properly, the transaction costs are covered, the handling fees, things like that. Mentorship, I guess, that would sort of pertain more to the Christchurch and Auckland-based people. Dunedin, we are lucky to be funded by the DCC to have the mentorship down here, which we think is pretty special. But yeah, as a not-for-profit organisation, it all goes back into the arts and filters back through. So that's where all of that goes. So with the campaign, with the timeline, this is sort of a recommended time frame that we suggest. It's really important to take the time to prepare. So we sort of suggest about 4 weeks of that. That's just getting everything in order, from your budget to your media releases, loose kind of content that you might put up, where you're going to put your campaign, how you're going to get it in front of people, etc. And it's really important to have a strong plan and to take that time to prepare. I have worked with people before, and even though they were successful in their campaign, they didn't take the time to prepare and struggled and had a bit of trouble sort of midway through, whereas other people who have had the time, it just smoothly sails all the way. So always prepare, which is very important. So, you know, you can register the project at any time. You don't have to pick it up straight away. So it's, I've got a slide coming up that shows you how to do that. But, you know, you might register something and then not have the campaign go live for months. You know, like it's really important just to make sure that you're ready to do it, because it is a lot of work. So everything happens on our website. I'm not sure if people have visited or done campaigns before, but it's very user-friendly. They relaunched it in 2020, which has made it a whole lot better. So you get your own URL when you sign up to do your project, and you'll see on the bottom of the screen here the wee pictures and stuff. That's sort of what the landing page looks like, where they have just all the projects that are currently going listed. I think they're in chronological order, maybe. But you can search for stuff as well. It's very easy. So getting started. So this is what the, I guess the section of the website looks like. You just click on go to the menu and say, you know, you want to register a project. It pops up and you fill in this stuff, and then that goes to HQ, and then it trickles off to the mentor who you will fall under, so that we can get in touch with you, set up a meeting to discuss what you're looking at and give you sort of advice and everything like that. It's very easy. And as I said, it is hard work, but it's definitely worth it. You get a lot out of doing a campaign, I think. You know, it's like earlier we said, it, you know, forces some people to get out of their comfort zone. It's not super wonderful to go out and ask people for lots and lots of money, but it's something that we have to do sometimes. But, you know, you learn, you build lots of skills, you take away a lot from doing a campaign, and it's really worth it in that regard as well, obviously for the money too. So another cute little quote from a lovely filmmaker who does many campaigns on Boosted. So if you're quite interested or thinking about running a campaign, we've got a really excellent source of resources on the website that you can go and have a look at. Just detailed articles, just about everything really, going from setting your target, pitching to media, how to choose an image, etc. And you're always welcome to reach out to us with any questions that you might have about that. If reading is not your thing, then we do have some cute little videos as well, which go through the Boosted 101, which is basically this presentation, I guess. Then we've got another one which is more detailed about planning the campaign and how you go about doing that. And both of those animations are available in Te Reo Māori as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's the end, really, in a nutshell. But yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything like that? I will stop sharing that now. So.
Great. Thanks, Jess. That was a pretty
right.
thorough description of what's involved with Boosted. From what you said earlier on, I'm wondering, obviously you'll have had feedback from people based on their campaigns.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about the money versus the growth, that obviously most people will get into doing a Boosted campaign because they want the money. But I'm curious about the kind of feedback you get from people about how they've grown their audience and grown themselves.
I guess a really good thing about doing a campaign is that you get, like, you have a database. So when people do sign up to do their donations, they can say whether or not they want to be kept in touch. So you can they can offer up to give you their email, essentially. So when the project is finished, you can download this list of people who are interested in what you're doing and want to keep having those sort of updates. And that's been really beneficial for a lot of people who have managed to just build like a network, I guess, of people that they've had from doing the campaigns who now follow them all the time and will, you know, come back and donate to more campaigns, or they'll come out to shows or whatever it is that those particular people have fundraised for. So that's quite a valuable takeaway, I think, as well. I guess personally, I did a campaign myself a couple of years ago, which was my introduction to Boosted. And though it was hard, like I say, you know, going out there and continuously sort of being like, hey, I've got this campaign, like if you can spare, you know, $5 here or whatever, you know, but I think that it was a good lesson in, I guess, sort of talking yourself up and talking about what your project and learning how to just be proud of yourself, I suppose. Then, you know, you're learning how to, like it says, you know, community build, and you get sort of a crash course in marketing and stuff like that, because you're marketing yourself and your project. You know, you're wanting to get it out there. You write media releases, you approach radio stations, and you do all these things that you wouldn't necessarily do. And it does take you out of your comfort zone, but it is a really valuable sort of thing to take on board, I think. And then, you know, the more you do it, you're like, oh, wow, I did that for that. I've got this other project coming up, you know, maybe I can call this radio station and do an interview about that, you know, like it just helps push you a little bit further, I think, which is quite a valuable takeaway.
Great, thanks. That's cool. Any other questions from our members on today?
Oh, you go, Ellie.
Thank you, Jess. This is sort of a brainstorming question. Do you have any examples of effective media and outreach campaigns for film that you've seen that have been great with Boosted?
I personally haven't done a film campaign myself, but I would be more than happy to link you up with Flynn or Ella, who would probably be better placed at answering that question for you, I think. And I guarantee you that they'll have some great answers for that. But there would definitely be places, even if it was linking you up perhaps with someone who has done a film-based campaign, and they can sort of give you some ideas that you could extrapolate on who to approach and that sort of thing, because that's what you're talking about, right? Like what sort of media you would send out a media release to further your project.
Yes, I mean, I've worked with Flynn before on a campaign, so
great.
I'm more interested to know in the general sphere if you'd seen anyone do something particularly effective or unusual or unique where they got a lot of coverage.
Yeah, I think that would be a better place at Flynn, probably. He's got more experience in that sort of role. Though I've done campaigns myself, they've been for different things. And coming on here as the Boosted mentor, it's been almost a year, I guess. I have had one film-oriented project, and they were they're currently in Sri Lanka at the moment making the documentary that they were setting out to do. And something that they did was, which I hadn't seen anyone do, they did a local poster campaign about the you know, like they had the Boosted image that they used, and it sort of detailed what they were doing, and then they had a QR code which took you to the Boosted campaign website to be able to donate. And I thought that was quite clever. Like they were quite young people, and it was something that I haven't really seen before, so I thought that was quite interesting. Always good to see the out of the box ways that you can try and push things to people. Yeah.
We had also, thanks Jess, this is awesome. We just ran a campaign as well, and we've closed it now, and it was great. But I did wonder whether we didn't do enough to market within Boosted itself to get followers, you know, support general followers of Boosted and arts in general, because pretty much every donation we had was a friend, family, or friends of family. You know, we kind of knew who all these people are, which was incredible. But for next time, I wondered, is there more that can and could be done within the platform itself to get to the Boosted?
Yeah, I guess in that regard, like there are people within I guess the arts found it, you know, like philanthropists and things like that, that will come on and donate. It has happened with certain projects. There's certain people who repeat, like they'll come on and they'll see something and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to give that quite a bit of money. I think it just depends, to be honest. I feel like the sort of, you know, they'd be happy to share on social media channels and things like that. It's just a matter of sort of teeing it up with them, I suppose. They sort of initiated a thing last year where it was, they showcased 5 projects each Friday, which was quite cool. So they sort of, you know, it was, I think they called it Fiverr Fridays, where they got people's projects up and put it out to their followers and things like that. So you would hope that that would sort of generate. I think they tend to shy away from it a little bit, just with the sheer amount of projects and I guess like putting it in a newsletter or something like that, there's too many to list and they would have to do it for everybody, etc. So I guess that's where they would encourage you to think about approaching similar organizations but differently. I guess you could look at things like the Big Idea. There would be like local council. I know here in Dunedin, Ōtepoti are very supportive of all of the boosted projects and stuff that happens. So if information is gotten to them in time, they can put it in their council newsletters and things like that. They're always very willing to share it across social media channels as well. I always encourage people to go to the newspapers because I think that you should be trying everything in, you know, all the means that you can, and depending on what the project is, you know, there's always some kind of organization that has newsletters and has databases of people that they can send out to, like film schools and things like that would be a good one to broach for that, I think, too.
Yeah. No, cool, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we just missed a really obvious part of it with or whether it was something we needed to ask about, to be like, hey, can we go in the boosted newsletter, or can we go on be shared on the Facebook page or to your database or whatever, but if they're not doing that kind of anyway.
No, I don't think that they would really do. It's a tricky one to broach because, like I say, it would, you know, they would have to do it with everybody. But there's never any harm in asking to be like, hey, you know, is this a possibility? Like, you know, just ask and see what the thing is. But I think generally they're fine with sharing on social media, though now they have merged with the Arts Foundation, so it would be shared on the Arts Foundation social media and things like that, as opposed to, and potentially newsletters. So, you know, like that, there's absolutely no harm in asking to do that.
Funny, I didn't think to ask until after we'd kind of closed, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So yeah, cool, awesome, thank you for that. Yeah.
Hi,
I have
everyone.
a question. Oh, no, you go.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, it's just, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a newbie on the block here. Sue Marshall put me on to you. I'm a lecturer in digital media at the Otago Polytech, and anyway, it's not about that. It's about the fact that something happened in 1981, which was quite drastic in many more ways than one. And I want to follow it up, but maybe through a documentary of sorts, etc. So I'm not too sure where to go with this. I'm not too sure whether I'm not the best writer in the world, but a synopsis of sorts would have to be maybe in the first stage. But I was listening to some of the comments you're making, especially about mentorship and things like that. So I'd be really interested in maybe arranging something or someone to meet with, and
absolutely. I am Dunedin based. So I was saying earlier that Dunedin is the only city in the country that actually has a dedicated mentor to it, because we're funded by the DCC to have someone in that position. So if you're local, I'd be happy to meet up and have a chat, have a coffee or something, and we can sort of nut out some ideas and go over things if you like.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, that'd be lovely. You could do that.
Yeah,
okay.
No I will get your email details. Or perhaps, so my email, I'm just double checking it. Mine's just Jess Covell at boosted.org.nz. I can pop it in is there a chat function? I'll pop it in there. And then if anybody wanted to reach out for any questions or anything at all, just please don't hesitate to do that. So I'll pop that in there. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
No worries.
Great, thanks. Carly, was it you, Carly, that had another question, or somebody else had another question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask what the level of like reporting or accountability is after a project has finished and, campaign's closed, in terms of whether, I obviously don't want to like dwell on the negative, potential of a project actually not going ahead, but is it more for the creators themselves and the people who've chosen to donate to that campaign to kind of regulate that themselves, and Boosted doesn't get involved with that accountability?
I mean, it's not like like regular funding. There is no reporting. You don't have to report on anything. We do have a function within the campaign page where if you felt that you wanted to update people who had donated, you can put an update within that page, and it just sends an email out to everybody who said yes to receiving emails. And maybe you've had a successful campaign and you're saying, hey, this all went through, we've got the film premiere to next week or whatever, or I guess in an unsuccessful way, you can still do the same thing. Like you could still let people know that the project's happening, or that particular project is, you're working on ways to sort of fund it in other means or things like that. Is that sort of what you're meaning, or?
Yeah, I guess just if there was, say if I'm a donor to something and then you donated money and the project didn't come to fruition, is there a Boosted responsibility around that, or like I said, is it just really on the creators themselves and the people?
Generally, I think that has happened. It was a question that I asked when I came on as well. I think that that's only happened once in 10 years, which is great. But the team follows up on that. Someone will be like, oh, I haven't seen this going ahead, or they sort of look to make sure that projects have happened and things like that. Like there is no sort of, it's a bit of a grey area, I guess. Like there's no time frame in which you have to complete your project, I guess. It's just sort of going off the proviso that you're fundraising for something that you're doing, so you're successful, so then you're putting that money into that project, which generally happens. I think the one time that it didn't, they got in touch with people and there were certain reasons that things didn't happen, and then money was actually returned to all of the people who donated because the project didn't actually go ahead. So it was quite a headache from my understanding from an admin perspective, but they did return all the funds from this particular one, because I think it was quite a large project as well in that regard. So yeah, there is a little bit of onus there, I guess. But yeah, they do follow up on things. So I guess yes is the answer.
Yeah, and from what I've heard about Boosted campaigns previously, normally you're not putting it, am I right in saying you're not normally putting in for like 100% of your cost to be covered by the Boosted campaign? Like normally it's, we've secured this amount of money and we're putting in this amount of money of our own and this and that. So it's not just like, is it quite rare for the Boosted campaign to cover 100% of the costs of a project? And normally it's just covering, a gap essentially.
I would say that it's not unheard of to have entire projects funded. I think it depends on the scale of the project, to be perfectly honest. I think that going back to that sort of funding puzzle slide, that Boosted is increasingly becoming one of those things where it is a part of that. So it's showing within a budget that, you know, you're pulling from here, 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 and here, and one of those things is a Boosted campaign. Personally, the one that I'm going to do myself soon is for Fringe Festival, and it is because we didn't quite get as much funding as we'd hoped for. So Boosted's a great avenue to be like, okay, cool, I only need an extra $1,000 or whatever. So, you know, it's a good way in that regard to sort of do that. But I guess, it depends on the project itself, I suppose, in that way.
Yeah, it's quite common with film for funding and financing to come from a bunch of different places. And I guess in that sense, it also increases the accountability, because you're not just, you know, it's not just one avenue you've gotten that money from. There's multiple different ones. And so people donating will probably have a lot of confidence that it's going to go ahead, because, you know, there's money already secured and accountability there. So I'm just more thinking, if a creator is putting a campaign together and they get that question from anyone, it's good for them to kind of have ready to go answers to sort of give people assurance that
definitely. It's always something that we recommend within the sort of, with the campaign page, you have like a wee sort of spiel at the side that sort of goes through who you are, what your project is. We always recommend transparency, you know, being like, well, we've gotten some funding from here and from here, but we still need this much and this much, you know, this is what we're using to pay for post-production, we're using this to do XYZ, you know, like all the different things that you need to have that extra money for, because people like to know, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Great. Just one more thing. Just curious, what is your project? What art are you involved with?
I am putting a show. I put a show together for Fringe Festival every year. I think this will be our 4th one. And it's just like a multi-art, a pan art show, we call it. So there's an installation project, there's a sound installation, there's some ceramics, we've got some workshops for like fiber art, which is what I'm doing, and some ceramic workshops, and then we've got some music with like visual treats, I've called it, because it's easier to sort of describe for the whole descriptor. Just some local artists making, I guess, visual aspect to go alongside music that's played live. Yeah. Which will be fun.
Sounds fun and sounds like a real interesting mix.
Yes.
Right. So do we have any other questions for Jess, or is everyone happy that they've got? Erin? No, I thought you were. Oh, thumbs up.
And you know, I've popped my email in that chat thread there as well, so feel free to contact me directly. Even I think that if you go through just the key order at Boosted, they'll then tack it on to me if it's a Dunedin related one. But yeah, always happy to jump on a call or whatever with people if they need. Like it's good to. I like a face-to-face, but obviously it doesn't always work. So phone calls and Zooms and things are always good as well.
I love your wallpaper.
Oh, thank you. What's her name? Ola Kylie, I think is her name. She's a like British. Yeah, it's quite fun. Little retro treats.
Lovely.
And I'm just thinking, one of the other things I covered with Jess before everybody came on was about that she's the mentor for Dunedin area. But if a project has some connections with Dunedin because the DCC helps to fund Jess's support, then Jess may well be able to help as a mentor if there's some connection or other, one way or another, that goes through Dunedin. So that's really good to know.
I mean, the mentorship is still there for, you know, it'll just be Ella or Flynn, depending on where you are. I'd say Flynn will probably do the North Island and Ella will do the South, but yeah.
Great. Okay. And I'll be able to, I'll send this recording out And so anyone who wants to have another look, check any details. And for others that weren't able to be here today, we'll have that on file for the Filmmakers Collective, which is cool. So yeah, so thanks very much for coming on today, Jess, and really appreciate kicking off 2024 with the old financial questions and how to get money and get things done.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks for having me. It was nice to meet you all. And yeah, just reach out if you have anything.
Thanks, Jess.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and we might just carry on into just a little bit of a quick catch up for the members,
Alright.
whether you want to stick around or head
Oh,
totally.
I've got a wee one to pick up from daycare, so.
All right, so
Anyway.
probably time to head off. Right.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
for
See you
Yeah.
later.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Jess.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, so we starting the year, trying to getting the collective up and running. It's great to have you all here. I think I've had apologies from Penny and Kerry Ann. And 6. Yeah, and just a couple of things to fill you in on is that we had to have a core group meeting last week, and we were talking mainly about getting the stuff to do with the expo and getting that lined up. We talked about what theme we wanted, and the ideas that have come through. Both Sue and Reese have come through with ideas. Reese's suggestion was past pioneers, future frontiers, and a very descriptive half dozen paragraphs to cover what that would include. Sue's ideas were past, present possibilities, filmmaking in Otago, Southland, which is cool with all the P's. But yeah, that idea, I quite like the idea of that, Otago, Southland, that pioneer feeling, and it's recognising the pioneers of the film industry as well, is quite good, and ensuring that we make it quite clear that it's not just about above the line creatives, that ensuring that people know that there'll be workshops and sessions at the expo that are for below the line, for crew, for people who are brand new to the industry as well. So yeah, I think what I will do is I'll get this out in the email with the recording link and check in with members. But for those that weren't able to attend, any feedback on on the theme ideas for the expo?
I think what he's done is perfect. Yeah, like you said in your reply this morning. I think it's spot on what we were talking about it being a bit of a reflection of the past, but also a focus on the future. So it's not one way or the other too heavy. Yeah, he's pretty good at it, isn't he?
He is, yes.
All together.
Yes, what does he say? From Ōtepoti Dunedin's historic streets to central Otago's sweeping vistas and along Southland's rugged coastline, the Southern Screen Expo is where diverse filmmaking talents converge. It's a place where history and innovation intermingle, creating a tapestry of stories that reflect our unique Southern character.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
And I
and
definitely.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, go Al.
No, I was just while I'm thinking about it, there may be an opportunity if we get a keynote speaker who is a pioneer of doing some sort of ceremony, awards, whatever, to thank them for their work.
Yeah. Ooh, like start our own kind of lifetime achievement awards for the Southern Filmmakers Collective of the Southern region. Yeah, that's cool. Our first honorary member to our expo that we haven't done yet. I like it. The other one that I liked, which he's got as part, I'm assuming what he's doing is kind of like the overall theme and then some like underlying kind of themes. as opposed to lots of different theme ideas, right? But the one, you know, the strength not as an individual but as a collective, having that as kind of like a running theme throughout as well, because that, I guess, is the point of the collective. Whereas I guess the theme of the collective versus the theme of the expo, the expo will always obviously have its own theme, but still like the point, if that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nice to have that kind of running through as well, I think.
Yeah, the power of collective community.
Yeah, can I just jump in very quickly? I thought Reese's idea was great, and you know, I just put in some words, and I just thought if everybody kept adding and putting stuff up there, you know, you'd come to some sort of definite conclusion. But I think, yeah, Reese did some great work, and I think that's good. I think that's a good idea, Erin. I really don't have much to say, except that I think that, yeah, we'll go with Reese's, and the sooner we get a cohesive sort of theme together, the sooner we can get out there and get things moving. Yeah, great work. Yeah, but if any, you know, I think it's good to keep putting stuff in, so yeah, you've got some comparisons and something to work on. But yeah, great, all good.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think, yeah, the ideal is that we get onto it pretty quickly to pull together our theme, and then start pulling together all the details. We had, I'm not sure where my notes are, for the name of the actor who Bex suggested asking as a possible speaker. Do you remember, Erin, his name?
Who
was it? Sorry, I can't find it. I will have it somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think I can.
No, that's all good. Yeah. Actor from Wellington Paranormal, who is originally from Dunedin, is the idea. Right, anything else anyone wanted to cover during this meeting, or shall we?
I'll just go back to that. I didn't know the actor. I'm sorry, so yeah. I'm not sure. Is it something that I missed out on? I mean, I don't watch paranormal, so. But
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Pohata. Okay, Pohata. I wonder if Carly, if maybe there's someone roaming the streets of Queenstown who would be a great speaker. You might be in contact with?
Let me know what your criteria is. I mean, Stefan's been a bit more closely connected to this than I have. I wanted to pop in today because I felt like I hadn't come for a while. But let me know what your criteria is, and I can see. Like, are you? I mean, like, you know, we've got a lot more kind of industry veterans here that are more below the line. But we've also got, you know, a couple of producers and the likes who pop in and out of Queenstown. So if you let me know what you're looking for, I can have a think.
I was going to maybe see if I could nudge Phil Smith to see whether he might be interested. It's probably not really his thing, but he might be open to something.
He might be. He was signed up to talk at, there was meant to be this event a couple of years ago, and it kept getting postponed because of COVID, and then didn't end up happening. But it was sort of like a creative little kind of mini creative festival that they had a couple of speakers lined up for, and he was going to speak at that event. So I obviously can't speak for him in terms of whether he'd be keen or not, but it is something he's, you know, signed up for in the past. So
yeah, cool.
I have to ask. Someone else who's great, actually, speaking of Great Southern Television, is Victoria Bolt, who works for Great Southern Television, but she's just finished directing her TV series, which was started as a had started as a TikTok series, and then they got funding to make it into a TV series. She's grew up here, based in Auckland, young, dynamic.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
something
That
to think
sounds-
about.
yeah.
Yeah, she spoke at a women in not a women in film and TV, a Queenstown Business Chamber women's breakfast a couple of months ago that I went to. She's a really good speaker as well. It'll be availability dependent, but something to think about.
Yeah, she sounds great. Because how many speakers are we thinking, Maddie? Like, you probably need like.
We're looking at probably bringing no more than 2 in from outside, but obviously we'll be drawing in some local people and local talent for panels and for individual workshops. So, but budget-wise, we're looking at maybe 1 or 2.
I know Pip Hall was very keen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in and out of Dunedin all the time, and she's got connections, and she's a great speaker. She will be very motivational. I was also, sorry to change the subject, I was talking to the Film Commission the other day, and it was a very depressing conversation about they're just about to go into restructuring. And yeah, I felt so sorry for all the people that I spoke to. Yeah, there's I think we're going to have to do our own thing maybe for a while before they get their self together again. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's been my feeling as well. They did actually put out in their newsletter before Christmas pretty much that. So it's not like it's under wraps. They've been pretty public with where they're at the moment, which is sad, but yeah, we'll just keep trucking along with our own work as best we can.
On that note, I just wanted to say there's speaking of the NZFC, they still are offering the early development funds, and the deadline is March 8th. So if anybody wants to apply for that, there is a fair amount of paperwork involved with that one. And if anyone has a genre project or knows of someone who has a genre project, they're doing a wonderful thing called Frontières at Marché de Film in Cannes. And it's specifically for genre. You do have to pay for it though, but great networking.
One thing about that development funding is that there is nothing for documentary at the moment. So yeah, that's one of the main issues that seems to have come out of this. That's where they're cutting back. Yeah. So anyway. Maybe that could be one of the talks, of course, is if you take the Film Commission out of the picture, how do you get anything funded? And I mean boosted quite obviously, but that's only a small amount. And yeah, it would be great to get people in with ideas, a panel discussion on where do you go from here, basically, without a Film Commission.
I haven't looked at the calendar for what we had brainstormed, but Maddie, there is something mocked in for that, right? With the
Yeah, we did consider. I think it's Aaron Falvey that did North Spur from Top of the South, and yes, to do sessions on other funding, getting sponsors, that kind of thing. But getting somebody who's done a really good independent filmmaking, film financing, because the reality is that's regardless of what official funding you can get, that's gonna be the way a lot of people will have to go, is to find independent ways to get their films made.
Yeah,
Alex Reed would be a good example. And a good person to contact for that.
Yeah. Because it just really is. I mean, Al, you would have just gone through the same process with like just for the short film stuff, there's just nothing out there in terms of like the New Zealand Film Commission or any of the bigger places. Like Carly, you guys are obviously incredible with the support that you guys give and the little community grants, but there's nothing really. I kept thinking I was missing something. I was like, there's got to be some funding out there. I know there is. Like, how do people fund this stuff all the time? People are always making short films, but this is really not. It's not some grand big place for short film funding, is there?
No, there's more available in the States, I would say, but then the States doesn't have the New Zealand Film Commission. You know, this is Shangri-La down here in terms of support and mentorship and encouragement, etc. They don't, in the States, it's free for all. But no, I mean, I've been keeping track of funding opportunities for shorts, and they're usually geography limited. It's very hard for Australia and New Zealand to apply for those. I'll keep my eye, I keep keeping my eye out for those. But yes, it's difficult. As Sue says, documentary is also challenging in this section of the world.
Although it's only on the website so far, and so there hasn't been it hasn't been publicly out there onto the Facebook group and things pages. But Short Film Otago are looking at doing another development round. That is, I think it's around $500 for the script ideas, potentially a bit more. But then at this stage, it's still a $10,000 short film funding. So realistically, you know, a boosted campaign or some other way of getting your film made, even if it is successful, there is reality. But it'll be good to get that out there. That it's another round coming up, which people will be interested in.
Yeah, cool.
I forget, Maddie, for the expo, do we have anything? We have something on distribution, right? We have some.
Pretty sure we do. Yeah, we plan to do something. Obviously, we haven't lined anything up yet, but that's in the plan.
Because chatting to my US producer, it's very, very challenging to get feature films funded at this stage in this market at this time, because people don't know where they're going to put them when they come out. And then for shorts, I can't remember what the statistics, they gave the statistics for Slam Dance or Sundance, and I just went, all right then. It was something like 0.5% acceptance for the short films at Sundance. So that's another thing we need to talk about, you know, where are we going to put all of this stuff when it comes out?
Where are you? Yeah, where are you at with yours, Al? Are you?
The short, we're still going through the festival submission rounds. We've still had no's, so you know, I just wait for the next no. But that should wrap up in May or June. That's our last notification date.
Yeah. Oh, something will come. Something will come.
That's all right. I am aware of the odds.
Yeah. Well, that came up the other day with we were looking at a TV, working on a small TV series pitch idea, and it was like 30% or 70% of applications to New Zealand on air are declined, and then of that 30% that are successful, you've got all the like regular annual stuff like your Short and Streets and your Radio New Zealand. So all of that like regular approved content is in that 30%. So that's probably, I can't remember what the stat was, but it was like over 70% of the 30% or something. So then you're down to this really small figure for things that are brand new, you know, and then even smaller if you're a first timer TV series producer. So like the odds are not in our favor. But it's all part of the fun, right, guys?
That's why we're here.
You make good stuff, it will find its hopefully. Just gotta focus on making good stuff. But unfortunately, the good stuff does take the money to make, which is why I just very much admire all you filmmakers, because I can sit here in my room and I can write a book and I don't need someone to give me money to do that, whereas you yeah, just the art, that the craft of filmmaking needs that money to even get the vision created. So very much admire you for pursuing it.
We're having a go.
Yeah.
Or does that just make us crazy people? Maybe.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh goodness. Oh, cool. Good work, guys. Good work, Maddie.
Great. Yep. Okay, all right. Well, thank you all for attending today. And
Can I just give 2 quick little updates? We're going to be putting out, I'm just speaking on behalf of Stefan here, we're going to be putting out information about Southern Pilots very soon. I think he must have mentioned it, and there was like a teaser on our Facebook, but they're just sort of tidying up, you know, what the application process will look like, what the criteria will be, and all that. I believe that's due to come out sometime in the first half of Feb, so just keep an eye out. And then
Do we know roughly when that'll be, like applications will be? Do you know the timing, like when that'll close for applications, roughly?
I don't know. I'm hoping it will be obviously a reasonable amount of time to get something together,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. They're still working through that timeline. And that's what's going to come out in the information. I think we almost had it ready to go out with our newsletter. That came out last Friday, and then there was something that still just needed to be confirmed. So we were this close to being able to put it out in the newsletter, and then I'm like, no, the newsletter needs to go, because the longer you wait with newsletter stuff, then other stories become not relevant, and then you have to just keep rewriting and rewriting. So I'm like, we just need to get that, and then we'll do its own EDM once the Southern Pilots information is ready to share.
Yeah. Cool.
And then we've got this week the first edition of like Little Cinema Queenstown, which is this new short film night that it's just a guy who I think he has recently moved to town from around Galway, and apparently they do this in Galway, and it's called Little Cinema Galway, and it's just like local short, like people in the community who've made short, whether it's short film or a documentary. I think someone submitted a music video, just like short bits of content to screen, to, you know, get people to celebrate their work, but also just bring the film community together. But I almost wonder if there'll be people who come who aren't in the film community and just sort of want something to do on a Thursday night. We're doing it at Tea Mira, and there'll be like a drink and some snacks offered as well as the films. So yeah, it's the first go. He's done a lot of it. I've helped him because he was sort of like he kind of had the idea and plan in his head, and he just sort of asked for my advice, and we've given a little bit of money to get it off the ground and that kind of thing. So we'll see how it goes. And if it becomes a regular event, could be really cool, and then it could pop up, you know, in other places around the region as well, if it ends up being a good model.
Yeah.
It
So
was
cool.
something like that in Oamaru last November, and that was went really well, and it was quite good to pull other people in based on who'd been involved in a project in some way. So it brought in some other members of the community, whether they'd been extras or they'd supported something, and they came along, and it was fun. It was fun, and a really good opportunity for people to get their work shown and get together. So yeah, so I hope it goes well.
Let you know.
We're supposed to be going. Well, we're going, but Joe's just had a job possibly come up down in Winton for the week, and so I'm just like, it's the Thursday night, but I think he needs to be in Winton on the Thursday night, so that's just kind of come up today. I'm like, oh, always the way when there's something you want to be over to. So I'll let you know, Carly, once we know, because obviously with nobody screening.
That's all good. He did, I think, an email's just come through from him during this meeting about that, but yeah, all good.
Are you gonna go, Elle? If we do go,
I'll try. I'm still wading through mountains of paperwork on return, but I'll see how I go.
Yeah, cool. If not, we'll have to catch you soon anyway.
Okay, all right. Well, have a good rest of the week, everyone, and I'll get this out as soon as I can. And all the information you've been sharing, which is very cool.
Thank you,
Nice
Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.